Hello, this is my submission for Lab 2.4 for Cybersecurity 501 with St. Bonaventure University. The purpose of this lab was to observe some additional tools for network scanning and comparing, contrasting them, and coming up with different reasons why users would want to use those different tools. The four tools that we see here are the two that were used in Lab 2.3, so Nmap and OpenVAS, as well as two new tools, Qualys FreeScan and GFI LandGuard. Both of these new tools are normally paid, but were used with a free trial version. So there were four things to talk about for each of these tools. So I listed one or two advantages, one or two disadvantages that I noticed, some special operations, as well as a user-friendliness rating. Please take the user-friendliness rating with a grain of salt, mostly because I'm using it more so as a ranking among them, how I would recommend each of these tools to different users. So firstly, starting with Nmap, while it's flexible and comprehensive and using its scripting functionality, which you can see under the special operations, it can perform pretty much anything you need it to. The learning curve can be a little steep, especially learning all the scripts. There is a staggering number of them, so finding a script that does exactly what you need could be a while, and if you don't know how to program your own scripts, it could take you a while to learn how to properly do that. Although the scripts that exist can be accessed in their raw format and modified to be exactly what you need them to be, so that's not so bad. For the user-friendliness rating, I gave it a 75%. Because it's powerful, that's undeniable, but you need to commit some amount of time in order to really tap into its potential. As for OpenVAS and its advantage, I wrote that it's really easy. The automation in it is pretty simple. You just put an IP and scan it, and if you want to do it automatically, as mentioned in special operations, you can just tell it, yeah, execute every 2 hours, and it'll do that no problem. But the input method can be a little annoying at first, and due to its constantly changing or constantly updating, rather, it means that some of its functionalities have been updated in ways that the old guides are no longer current and cannot be used anymore. So until you find that out, that it becomes a very annoying game of cat and mouse to figure out which commands can still be used and which cannot. But that being said, under the user-friendliness rating, I gave it a 90%, since for what you need it to do, it'll satisfy whatever you need to get done. And also note that despite me giving this OpenVAS a higher rating than Nmap, I personally prefer Nmap. It's more in line with how I like to perform scans, but I would recommend to other people to use OpenVAS, or rather recommend it to the layman, but of course it's up to you. Moving on to Qualys FreeScan, it has different built-in scan types for different situations, just automatically ready to go for whatever you need. But you only get 10 free scans, and beyond those different built-in ones, there's not really much room for flexibility. So you use it for what it's made for and not much more. For its special operations, something that I found really neat is that it has built-in OWASP scans for observing really common web vulnerabilities and just enumerating them, especially with the OWASP list coming out and being updated every couple of years. I think that's a very neat functionality. But that being said, I would recommend this the least out of the four softwares listed here. Its user-friendliness rating, I gave it a 40%, as I mentioned. It does what it does, and it doesn't really do anything more than that. Finally, with GFI LandGuard, its advantage, I noticed that it can audit many devices and operating systems at once, which I thought was pretty neat, its multi-threading aspect. For a con, however, is that its outdated UI. If you don't really know what you're looking at, it can be a little disorienting, and before exporting the reports, they can be a little hard to read. But a special operation, something that I really liked, firstly, is that it tracks your software updates for whatever it scans, and it also includes reports for specific regulations. So if you need reports specific for PCI DSS with your credit card, or HIPAA for any sort of health issues or health domain. It has specific reports ready-made for those. That being said, I'd give it a 55%, or rather third most recommended in this list, because it's powerful, but it feels like it needs an update. It just, every time you're using it, it feels like it's missing something. So that being said, this is my Lab 2.4 submission for comparing these four softwares. Thank you for watching.